What if some of the healthiest, most nourishing vegetables simply vanished from our plates centuries ago? In the Middle Ages, farmers cultivated an incredible variety of superfoods, plants packed with flavor, resilience, and nutrition. Yet today, most of them are completely forgotten. So, let's journey back in time and uncover 15 powerful medieval superfoods that once sustained kings, peasants, and monks alike, and discover why they disappeared. Our story begins with skirret, the superstar root vegetable of medieval Europe. Unlike modern carrots, which demand constant care, skirret practically grew itself. Once planted, it multiplied quietly underground, providing an endless supply of food with almost no effort. Its taste, sweeter than carrots, richer than parsnips. So beloved was this crop that nobles demanded it in royal gardens, earning skirret the title of the vegetable of kings. But it wasn't just a delicacy for the rich. When harsh winters hit and fields lay barren, skirret's sturdy roots kept families fed. Boiled, roasted, mashed, or even baked into sweet pies. This was the potato before potatoes existed. Eventually it vanished as larger, faster-growing crops took over. But its story remains a symbol of medieval resilience. Next up is Alexander's, a bold plant the Romans brought to Britain. Every part was edible: roots, leaves, stems, seeds, and flowers. It was the overachiever of medieval gardens, growing tall, wild, and unstoppable. People used its shoots like celery, its flowers in salads, and its seeds as pepper. Even its flavor was adventurous, somewhere between parsley and spice. It thrived along cliffs and roadsides, needing no attention at all. But by the 1700s, Alexander's lost its crown to celery, its tamer and tidier cousin. Today, this freelance vegetable still grows wild along Europe's coasts, an uninvited guest that once ruled the medieval kitchen. Few plants were as useful, or as mysterious, as Good King Henry. No one knows why it was given such a noble name, but in medieval Europe, it was everywhere. It grew without effort, returning every year without replanting, a self-sustaining miracle. Rich in iron and vitamin C, it saved lives during spring shortages when little else grew. Cooks used the shoots like asparagus, the leaves like spinach, and the buds like miniature broccoli. It was medicine too, healing wounds and easing digestion. But as farming became commercial, this humble but mighty green disappeared from gardens, waiting for its long-overdue comeback. Now meet salsify, a root so strange it defied explanation. To medieval farmers, it looked like an ordinary plant. But once cooked, it revealed a shock. It tasted exactly like oysters. Because of that, monks and fasting Christians prized it as a fish substitute during Lent. White and black varieties both thrived through winter, surviving frost and hunger alike. It could be dug up as needed and stored for months, a refrigerator before refrigerators existed. Its downfall? Modern consumers didn't like its odd look or slow growth. But for centuries, salsify was the ocean on land, a secret delight for those who couldn't eat meat. Now, this one's bizarre. The medlar looks like a small brown apple, ugly, hard, and sour. Freshly picked, it's completely inedible. But medieval people knew its secret: bletting, a process of letting the fruit soften and sweeten through controlled decay. After a few weeks, it turned into a soft, spiced applesauce that was both sweet and fragrant. Medlar tarts, jellies, and wines filled medieval cookbooks, and its strange open shape earned it some colorful nicknames. It ripened in late autumn, offering one of the few fresh fruits before winter. Modern markets, however, rejected its imperfect looks, and so this patient delicacy faded away. Tiny, wild, and unstoppable, chickweed was the freeloading hero of medieval gardens. It grew everywhere: paths, fields, doorsteps, whether people wanted it or not. Instead of fighting it, medieval people harvested it. And for good reason. It contains 7 times more vitamin C than oranges, and grows year-round in most climates. It fed both peasants and nobles during the harsh winter months. It even healed wounds and cooled fevers when turned into tea. Modern agriculture labeled it a weed, but in truth, chickweed was one of nature's greatest gifts. Free food, free medicine, endless abundance. Here's one that suffered from a terrible name, scorzonera. It sounds like a medieval curse, but this dark-skinned root was both delicious and healing. Its name came from scorzone, Italian for venomous snake, because people believed it cured snake bites. False as that may be, the plant turned out to be a gentle, nutty delicacy with flavors of asparagus and almonds. Monks cultivated it for its purity and long shelf life. It could stay fresh in sand for months. But when refrigeration and imported foods appeared, scorzonera was pushed aside, taking its humble legacy with it. Despite the name, Welsh onions are neither Welsh nor true onions. Originating from Asia, they reached Europe through medieval trade routes and quickly became a garden favorite. They're perennial, meaning once planted, they grow forever, no replanting needed. Even in freezing winters, they stayed green and edible, providing precious vitamins when nothing else survived. Cooks used their shoots in soups and stews, while farmers relied on them as a steady food source. In a world where survival depended on the seasons, Welsh onions were a true miracle of endurance. This plant wasn't invited, but it came anyway. Fat hen, also called lamb's quarters, grew wild across Europe. Farmers considered it a weed, but the wise ones knew its secret. It was a powerhouse of nutrition. It contained more protein than cabbage, more iron than spinach, and more calcium than kale. Both peasants and nobility ate it in times of famine. Even chickens that fed on fat hen laid more eggs, earning the plant its quirky name. Today we spray herbicides to destroy it, not realizing we're killing one of the healthiest greens that nature ever offered. If celery had a cousin with attitude, it would be lovage. Roman soldiers brought it to Europe, and medieval monks made sure every monastery garden had one. It flavored everything: soups, breads, meats, even candies. Its powerful aroma could transform a dish with just one leaf. It was medicine too, used for digestion and kidney relief. Lovage plants can live for decades, thriving through harsh winters. It was the spice that never quit, but when exotic herbs like pepper and nutmeg arrived, lovage quietly faded away. Despite the name, corn salad has nothing to do with corn. It grew naturally in grain fields, what Europeans called corn, centuries before maize arrived. This soft, nutty green stayed fresh through winter and was packed with omega-3s, iron, and vitamin C. It was free, nutritious, and delicious, yet modern agriculture forgot it for flashier lettuces. It was the quiet hero of the medieval salad bowl. Tansy was the medieval herb that refused to be ignored. With fern-like leaves and bright yellow flowers, it smelled strong. Some would say too strong. Its flavor was a wild mix of spice, bitterness, and sweetness all at once. Medieval chefs used it in puddings, cheese, ale, and even as a natural preservative. Its scent repelled insects, and its oils treated fevers and stomach pains. But as milder herbs gained popularity, tansy's bold personality was simply too much for modern taste buds. Along the shores of northern Europe grew sea kale, a plant so hardy it thrived in salty sand. It provided food when little else could: fresh shoots like asparagus in spring, and tender leaves like cabbage in summer. High in vitamin C, it prevented scurvy among fishing communities long before anyone knew what vitamin C was. Yet modern society ignored it, leaving this free coastal superfood to the seagulls. Woad was a plant of contradictions. On one hand, it was prized for producing blue dye, the famous pigment used by warriors and weavers. On the other, its young leaves were a peppery, edible green. Growing and processing it, however, produced an unbearable stench. Royal edicts banned woad production near castles for that reason. Despite its aroma, it fed families and clothed armies. One of the strangest dual-purpose plants in medieval Europe. Everyone knows turnips, But few realize the real treasure lies above the ground. The leafy tops, or turnip greens, are richer in vitamins, calcium, and protein than the roots themselves. Peasants harvested them all season long, adding them to stews and soups. These greens kept families alive through countless winters, but as diets modernized, they were forgotten. Maybe it's time they made their comeback. From skirret to turnip greens, these 15 forgotten medieval superfoods tell a story of survival, ingenuity, and simplicity. They nourished generations before modern farming and proved that resilience grows quietly, in roots, leaves, and seeds. Perhaps it's time we looked back to rediscover what our ancestors already knew. The healthiest foods aren't always new. They're just waiting to be remembered.